Hey everyone, this is Steven from Clutch Pythons, and today I wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up video to the last video that I did about ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes. And we talked about it a little bit last time, but we didn't really talk about some of the things that you can do to overcome this fear. And so I'm going to give you 6 tips for overcoming this fear. So, the first thing on my list is you should watch lots of snake videos. You should watch all sorts of different kind of videos. Videos that show snakes as mean, videos that show snakes as nice. And what this will theoretically do is it'll desensitize you to snakes. Now, the first time that I started doing this, I couldn't even barely sit there without just totally cringing because some of these videos that I was watching, big snakes eating their meals and all of that, it really freaked me out. But over time, those things really didn't affect me anymore. And so there are probably thousands of videos on the internet just about snakes. So I would highly suggest going and watching some of those videos. One thing that I want you to pay attention to, though, is the body language of those animals. The body language of the mean snakes and the body language of the nice snakes. You'll find out that the body language of nice snakes, they tend to be a little bit more relaxed. Or maybe they are a little bit flighty, but they're not postured to strike. So just take note of that. The second thing you can do is to go to a local pet shop and look at the snakes. Now, this is kind of the next step because you've been watching snakes through your TV screen, and now you're actually seeing them in person. You're not handling them, but you're just looking at them. And this will kind of get you used to the idea of being around snakes. When I first got snakes, I had a fear. And what would happen is I would wake up at night and I would trick myself into believing that my snake had escaped and it was around in the house or something. And I did it all the time. So, but actually over time, what happened is the more I got used to snakes in person, the less I worried about them in person, if that makes sense. The next thing that is really actually kind of a fun thing to do is to go to a Reptile Expo. I live in Idaho, so I had to go to one in Utah, and it was so much fun. I was completely shocked how many people were there, how many reptiles were there, lots of people to meet, lots of, different kind of snakes to look at. You don't have to hold any by any means. But that kind of exposure to lots of reptiles around you, I think it was really healthy. And for me, it helped me see snakes in a different light as something fun and something to be part of a community. You have something in common with somebody that might be completely different than you, but they like snakes. And so you kind of create this invisible brotherhood, I guess, or sisterhood, however you want to call it. And that will actually encourage you to do the next thing, which is meet someone local that has a snake. Now, this step isn't crucial, but I think it can be beneficial because that person can really explain to you their experience and talk about some of the challenges and maybe the surprising things that they found out about their snakes. And with that, you actually might, if you have the gumption, you might be able to actually hold your first snake at that point. And if you're frightened by that idea, I would suggest holding a really calm snake, but also don't be afraid to use gloves. Now, when I was first holding snakes, I used gloves. And in fact, some of my snakes today, I actually hold them with gloves because I don't trust their personalities. I have one that's very not nice, and I almost don't have anything to do with that snake. But I have one snake that's never like bit me, but just seem like it just looks at me. I know this is weird, but I just don't like the way that it looks at me. It looks like it's gonna strike, but it never has. But so I always use gloves. Now I got these gloves. They're cheap. They were like $2 at Home Depot, but they're thick for the kind of gloves that you would want to use to handle snakes. I think my kid's crying. Yeah, you go check on him. Thanks, buddy. All right, I think the kid has stopped crying. I can continue the video. So don't be afraid to use gloves. Now what you'll find is very quickly you'll want to take your gloves off because you'll actually want to feel what the snake feels like. You actually want to touch it, and it's actually pretty fascinating. You know, the first time holding a snake, it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. But that's just another success to check off your list. Now, the last thing I actually believe is important, and that is to actually get a snake. Now, there are some things that if you have a fear of snakes like I do and did, and I'm still overcoming it, but there are some things that you'll want to make sure. If you're getting it as a pet, you want to make sure that it is a docile snake, that it's a sweet snake, because you want to have the best experience possible with that snake. I would also suggest getting a snake that needs to be rehomed. You can go on Craigslist and type in ball python, and a lot of times people are giving away their ball pythons. They just need to rehome them. Maybe they're in an apartment and their landlords won't let them keep them or whatever. And so do a little bit of research, you know, get their enclosure ready, which that's another topic that we can talk about. But the most important thing is making sure that whatever snake you're getting is docile, because I actually got a snake from someone. It's a pied ball python. It's beautiful, but they gave it to me because it's a mean snake. Now, I took the snake knowing that it was mean. They didn't trick me, but I took it because it was a pied, and either I could raise it up and breed it, or I could try to sell it for, you know, any money is a profit. But this snake is not docile. I don't particularly like it. Maybe as it gets bigger and ages, it will. That's kind of what I'm suspecting. That's kind of what I've seen through the reptile community. But a small snake isn't necessarily better than a big snake. There are plenty of small snakes that can be mean, but a lot of big snakes that are very nice. I don't have a single big snake that's ever tried to bite me. It's amazing. But my small white pied has. I pretty much keep it tucked away. I handle it as little as possible. It's not fun. So hopefully that'll give you some ideas to overcoming your ophidiophobia. It certainly has helped me. Like I said, I still have some lingering issues, but I think these are some helpful tips. If you find them helpful too, show your gratitude by giving a thumbs up or subscribing or whatever, or just watching the next video. And until then, this has been Steven from Clutch Pythons. Thanks, everyone. Bye.